What the hell, Google? So there I was last night, got home from work. I'm going to sit down and watch a bunch of videos on YouTube. And I open up my Google Reader, which I keep track of my videos on watching and such. And it tells me, oh yeah, as of July, I think it was July 1st, no more Google Reader. And I remember just sitting there for a minute, letting it sink in, and thinking, well, what the hell am I going to do? I hadn't had to worry about an RSS reader in so long, but I didn't even know what's out there. One of the big advantages to using Google Reader was the cloud idea. I have a Windows workstation at work. I have a Linux workstation at work. I have a Linux workstation at the house. We've got a couple of other computers at the house, and every single computer, everything worked. Everything from Google Reader came through and worked the same way as it always did. And more so than worked, what was more important is what you read from one day to the next was marked as read on every platform. And so that's something you don't get with using software on a computer, which is where I'm at now. I've got some links in the description to what software I'm using at the moment. Right now I'm just going back and forth between work and home. There's also a link to a couple of the cloud services that I'm going to put in there. These are the ones on Slashdot that they were talking about. But the problem is they charge, and that's the conspiracy theorist in me kind of wonders if that's what this is all about. If Google's trying to come out with a pay service that basically does the same thing that Reade did, or that Reader did, and charge for it. But in order to do that, in order to turn a free service into a pay service, you basically just have to get rid of the free service and then come out with a pay service later. So that's what I think is really going on here, which is fine. Google's a company; they need to make money. I don't have any money, so they can't get any of mine. So I got to figure out how to do it elsewise, and I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment. Now, one thing I have to admit, the interface on Google Reader was pretty much crap. There was one time not too long ago I was trying to unsubscribe to one feed, and I didn't realize that I had the folder that feed was in highlighted, and I said unsubscribe, and I believe it came up and said, do you really want to unsubscribe to 150 feeds? Of course nobody reads those things. Yeah, I said unsubscribe. Well, 150 feeds gone. And there's no backup because, Kelly doesn't export, every couple of weeks or something like he should. So that was kind of crap. I still think that should have been more difficult because exporting, which would be how you back up your list of feeds, is a pain in the ass. That's another thing that's bad about Google Reader is the export function is like 6 layers of menus in, and it's just not easy. You got to go to some external site and do your exporting, which is just not. It's not easy, and it should just be click done. I got to back up somewhere of my files. I use Google Drive. I use it a lot. I'm using it right now to take the notes for this vlog, and I fear that it's next. The Google Drive is going to become a space-only system. Right now, you have an editor. You have a text editor, and you have a little spreadsheet program, and you have a little Impress type program, PowerPoint, but they're crap. They always have been. They've never been good programs, and I don't see any work going into them. And what I'm wondering is if Google's going the way that Microsoft and Apple seem to be going, and saying, well, we need to start charging for this stuff. So again, they'll do the same thing. They'll say, well, Google Drive is going to stick around, but Google Docs is going to become some pay service where you actually have to buy a real subscription, and for what, $10 a month or something like that, you'll have access to a word processor. I'm like, excuse me, $10 a month? That just doesn't do it for me. Anyway, so I'm not going to be able to synchronize, for a while at least, I'm not going to be able to synchronize my read things, the things I have read between work and home, and that's going to suck. Fortunately, I typically just listen to audiocasts at work, so while I'm doing other stuff, I let that run. I don't listen to audiocasts at home. So, yeah, I can probably just update the audio cast at work and then just do the rest of it at the house. I don't think that'll be a problem. But it sucks. I want a cloud system because it's all across the different platforms. I don't really use my phone for this kind of stuff, but it was available. That was nice. And it synchronized. I remember not very long ago at all, I just heard one of the bloggers talking about, why doesn't Apple get the fact that all I really want out of iTunes is to synchronize my feeds and what's in my feeds and what I have experienced and what I haven't experienced across my couple of Macintosh computers and my iPhone and my iPad and everything else in the world Apple. How hard is that? Well, it's not very hard. They just have to sit down and do it. But he was talking about some app that he found for his Apple system that synchronizes iTunes all across all of his devices. And I didn't realize how cool that was until, of course, now it's taken away from me, and I got to deal with having separate data files on all the machines again. So what suggestions do y'all have out there? Come on, somebody help me out here. I need to know, what are people using for RSS readers out there that they like, that has some way of syncing across multiple systems, that are basically free because I'm broke. So help me out.